right? Then we have the RNA synthesis and the processing. So till here we were discussing about the DNA repair, DNA replication in prokaryotes, eukaryotes, and everything. Now we have the second segment, which is your RNA synthesis. So now your DNA is getting transcribed into RNA. Right. Now, the transcription requires the DNA template, RNA polymerase, and the transcription factors, obviously. Then, your prokaryotic DNA, RNA polymerases, if I look into the core structure of it, so it has alpha, 2 of the beta, right? Then you have that is beta and beta dash. Then we have the omega portion, right? So alpha are there, 2 of the alphas are there, then you have beta, then you have beta dash, and then you have the omega being there. Then over here we also require the sigma factor. The functionality of sigma factor is for the promoter recognition. Then eukaryotic RNA polymerases, so RNA polymerase 1, 2, 3, all of these are going to synthesize a different RNA. Remember this particular mnemonics of RMT 1, 2, 3. rRNA is with the help of RNA polymerase 1, mRNA is with the help of RNA polymerase 2, and tRNA is with the help of RNA polymerase 3. So rRNA polymerase 1, mRNA polymerase 2, and tRNA polymerase 3. Others also you can remember it, you can rote memorize it, but basic is RMT 1, 2, 3. This has been asked a number of times, so this mnemonics is going to help you. Then you have the promoter core that contain the promoters contain the core elements. So prokaryotic is -10 to -35, right? Location. So when we look into the, let's say this is the start point from where the transcription need to be there. So if I'm going in the same direction as my flow, it is my upstream, right? This is my downstream portion, right? And if I'm going in the reverse direction, this is your upstream. So in the upstream, like this is the area from where it need to begin. Let's say this is your start site, right? So from the start site in the upward direction, in the upstream, if I'm going, so it will be denoted, or it will be like symbolized as a negative segment, right? So -10 means -10 base pair away from your start site. And if it is -35, so -35 means 35 base pairs away from the start site or the start codon that we have. Then the general transcription factors for your polymerase 2 includes TF2D. It includes the Tata binding proteins, Tata activating factors, right? The Tata binding proteins and all those things. And we also have the various transcription factors like TF2A, TF2B, TF2E, F, H, all these things. Then initiation complex forms, Tata binding proteins. Then we have the recruitment of your RNA polymerase 2. Then we have TF2H, that is transcription factor 2H. H refers to the helicase. Then the H is the one that unwinds the DNA, phosphorylates the polymerase 2 to promote the to cause the promoter escape. That means, let's say this is the point from where the work is initiating. Now my entire machinery of transcription need to move or need to start moving from my promoter region, from my initiator region. So the promoter escape is required, right? Escaping from the promoter or accelerating from the promoter is important, right? So for that, this is going to help out. Then we have activators that binds the enhancers, recruit the co-activators to stabilize your entire transcription initiation. Then repressors bind the silencers, they recruit the co-repressors and the chromatin modifiers. Then we have chromatin remodelers. So it helps out in repositioning of your nucleosomes to regulate the accessibility of the same. Then we have the various elongation factors as well. So when I look into my entire transcription, so it is divided into 3 of the steps: initiation, elongation, and termination. So initiation requires initiation factors, Elongation requires elongation factors, and termination requires the termination factors that we have, right? So elongation factors, they phosphorylate the CTD in order to enhance the productive elongation. Then we have capping and tailing being there. So after your transcription is over, your final segment is not the mature RNA, it is your pre-mRNA, right? And your pre-mRNA need to be matured first. It need to be processed first. So for the processing of the same, the capping need to be there, tailing need to be there, splicing need to be there. So first is the capping part. That means there's an addition of 7-methyl guanosine at the 5' via a triphosphatase, guanyl transferase, and methyl transferase. So these are all short pointers. So you have to make sure that you are like revising the main mechanism as well, right? Then capping protects the DNA, protects the RNA, aids the splicing, exports, and the translation initiation as well. Then transcription termination is via the row dependency or intrinsic in bacteria, and it is via cleavage and the poly A signals in the eukaryotes as well. So in addition to capping, there's another mechanism called as tailing, right? Capping, tailing, and splicing. These are the three processings, or the other three processing mechanisms in my entire RNA processing. So capping, tailing, and your splicing part. In the capping part, you have 7' cap being added. In the tailing part, there's a poly A tail that is being added. And in case of your splicing, you have the introns being removed off and your exons being joined in together, right? Then pre-mRNA processing is co-transcriptional, and it is CTD coordinated. What do you mean by co-transcriptional? So during the process of your transcription, when the transcription is ongoing, during this time only the processing starts off, right? So that's the reason why it is co-transcriptional. Along with the transcription it is happening in, right? Then what is the functionality of splicing? So splicing removes off the introns via the spliceosome. So the spliceosome is made up of the complex of snRNPs. These are the various snRNPs that join in together to make up a complex called as the spliceosome. Then splice site include, like if I talk about the structure of an intron. So let's say this is an intron. You'll be having a 5' splice site, 3' splice site, and a central portion. Not exactly central, but a branch point A is also there, right? Then we have something called as alternatives. This question was asked in the examination recently. The functionality or the result of alternative splicing. So alternative splicing, it generates multiple isoforms to form one gene, right? Many similar forms are therein, or from one single gene. When multiple isoforms need to be made, alternative splicing helps out. That means in simple manner, normally, let's say this is how it is happening. Let's say A, B, C are the introns. So as a result of alternative splicing, you'll get ABC, you'll get CAB, you'll get BAC, you'll get CBA. So these are the different isoforms. Same intron, same exons are therein, but the sequence is getting altered, and as a result of the sequence being altered, all these will be known as isoforms, right? Then RNA editing alters the nucleotide sequence post transcription. Then polyadenylation is that when I am having a tail, polyadenylation. Poly means many, adenylation means that when many of the adenines are getting added. So polyadenylation, right? So these are the various proteins and segments that help out in the same, right? Then we have the non-coding RNAs, for example, rRNA, which is non-coding, tRNA, snRNA, snORNA, MI, INC RNA. Let me know what is the functionality. If these are non-coding, what role do they have? Try to recall the roles of the various RNAs in front of you. Then rRNA processing in the nucleolus involves cleavage, modification in the SNO-RNPs. Then tRNA processing includes trimming, splicing, and CCA addition. So when you look into the structure of your tRNA, this is how it looks like, right? In this segment, you have something called as, over here it is, there is addition of CCA. There's a sequence, additional sequence being added up. So this portion is the acceptor arm, okay, where your main amino acids will be coming and joining in and helping in the translation part. Then RNA export uses cap binding complexes, TREX, and your nuclear pore factors, tRNAs, rRNAs, they use the dedicated exportins. Then RNA quality control. So over here, these are the various segments that help out in controlling the quality of your RNAs, right? Okay, let's continue. Now we have the transcription, which is just revised. In this, the promoters, the transcription factors, and their core function. So first, if I talk about the polymerases, we have the DNA polymerase 1, DNA polymerase 2, and DNA polymerase 3, right? DNA polymerase 1 is, typical targets are the 45S rRNA. The core promoter elements are the upstream control elements and the core promoters, and the main factor are these. Then RNA polymerase 2 targets are these. These are the core promoter elements, and these are your factors. And RNA polymerase 3, so over here you have tRNA, 5S RNA, rRNA. These are the internal promoters, and these are your key factors. Then RNA processing, see, this is the RNA, this is the mRNA. So what is happening? I am removing off all the introns and adding up the exons together. In addition, there's a cap on the 5' end and there's a tail on the 3' end. So what are we having? We are having three different processing segments. Splicing, the removal of the introns and the addition of the exons, right? And capping and your tailing. Three different segments are happening. See, capping, splicing, and polyadenylation. Polyadenylation or tailing is the same thing, right? Onto the tail portion, we are having a adenine's tail being added up. Then we have RNA processing, the steps and the factors. So capping, splicing, and cleavage, factors, and what is the outcome. This can be a potential question. And step is rRNA and tRNA processing. In this, the key factors are these, and outcome is the maturation and the modification of the non-coding RNAs, right? Then we have protein synthesis happening in. So protein synthesis means the translation that's happening in. So ribosomes are ribonucleoprotein machines. These are a small subunit that decodes the large subunit, catalyzes the peptide bond. Then you have the eukaryotic ribosomes. So the eukaryotic ribosome is 70S, and this 70S is made up of 30S and 50S. Potential question in your part 3 like factual portion. And eukaryotes is 80S, which is made of the smaller and the larger subunit of 40S and 60S being there. Then rRNA provides the catalytic peptidyl transferase activity in the large subunit. Then mRNA features are the 5' UTRs, the coding sequences, 3' UTRs, Kozak SD sequences guide initiation. Amino acyl tRNA synthetase, they charge the tRNA with correct amino acids, right? And then we have the tRNA identity elements. They ensure that correct recognition is done by the synthetase enzyme, right? Then we have the proofreading. So proofreading by your synthetase, it removes the misactivated and misacylated DNA, RNA, amino acids. The genetic code is degenerate. When we talk about the segment of genetic code, so genetic code is degenerate. It is nearly universal. That is, in every organism that you see, the genetic codes, like every genetic code will code for the same protein, right? It will be coding for the same amino acid specifically, right? So you have start codons, we have stop codons being there. So Start codon majorly AUG. The stop codons are 3 of them, that is UAA, UAG, and UGA. Then we have something called as wobble pairing, right? So wobble pairing at the third codon position increases the decoding facility, flexibility. Then initiation in case of your bacterias, it is with the help of your initiation factor 1, initiation factor 2, and initiation factor 3. They assemble at the 30S with your FMAT, formyl MAT, tRNAi, and mRNA at the Sheen-Delgado sequence. So when you learn about that, how does the initiation of transcription occurs in the prokaryotes, it is with the help of this. And then initiation in the eukaryotes, so EIF, elongation, eukaryotic initiation factors, they recruit the 43S pre-initiation complex, and they scan from the 5' cap to the AUG portion, right? Then you have EIF2 GTP, it delivers the MET tRNAs. EIF2B, it recycles the eukaryotic initiation factor 2 GDP, phosphorylates the 2 alpha and inhibits the initiation. Start codon selection is enhanced by EIF1 accuracy mechanism. 60S and 50S joins upon the start codon recognition, forming the 80S and 70S initiation complexes. In the case of your elongation, so amino acid tRNA, like when I look into the structure of my ribosome, so it has EPA site, right? You have the exit site, you have the entry site, and you have the phosphatidyl transferase site. That is the site where my entire protein bond, or I can say the peptide bond, is getting formed in, right? So first it delivers to the A site, then you have the peptide bond formation, and then it gets delivered to your, or translocated to the exit site, and the process continues. Then we have peptidyl transferase. It is catalyzed by 23S and 28S rRNA in the peptidyl transferase center. Then translational fecundity involves ribosomal decoding center, GTPase checkpoints, and the proofreading rejection. Then termination uses release factors and the GTPase. So release factors are release factor 1 and 2 in bacteria, and like eukaryotic release factor 1 in eukaryotes, right? Then ribosome recycling, so RRF and EFG in the bacteria, and ABCE in the eukaryotes. Then we have translational inhibitors, so they target number of steps. For example, aminoglycosides, macrolides, tetracyclines, chloramphenicol, cycloheximide, puromycin. So from the inhibitors portion also, every single year you get a question in one format or the other, right? So in the case of your inhibitors, we have a number of them helping out in the processes, right? Then mRNA surveillance. So NMD suppresses the premature stop codon translation. Co-translational targeting to ER uses SRPs, SRP receptors, and Sec61 translocon. Then post-translational modification, in the similar fashion as we have post-transcriptional modification, we also have post-translational modification. So what is the functionality of these post-translational modifications? So they help out in like what are the various processes that are therein? So we have phosphorylation, acetylation, methylation, ubiquitination, and sumolization being there. All of these modifications have a specific role and a specific function to be performed in. Then protein folding, protein folding mediated by the chaperones and chaperonins, and then proteostasis involves the ubiquitin proteasome system and autophagy being therein, right? Then what are the various factors and everything? So in the bacteria, these are the initiation factors, and the primary role is the 30S initiation complex assembly and the FMAT tRNAi placement. Eukaryotes, these are the factors and these are the primary roles. Then modifications, see what I have just told you. Phosphorylation, acetylation, ubiquitination, glycosylation, methylation. These are the various enzymes that help out, and these are the various effects or the functions that we can talk about, right? Then over here you have the various segments is written down in some diagrammatic portion as well. For example, glycosylation, disulfide bond, ubiquitination, methylation, phosphorylation, acetylation, sumolization, lipidation, hydroxylation, and all those things which are getting completed. Then last is the control of the gene expression, transcription and translational level. So prokaryotic regulation often uses operons with repressors and activators. Lactose induces by inactivating the LAC-I repressor. CAMP, CRP enhances the transcription under low glucose. Then TRP, or you have the tryptophan operons. The repressors are by the repression is majorly by the repressor, and the repressor in case of a tripoperon, it's nothing but the tryptophan only. When the cell have higher concentration of the tryptophan, the cell will use tryptophan as an inhibitor so that no further synthesis of tryptophan can be there, and when the levels are lower, it is going to initiate the, or it is going to resume its synthesis, right? Then sigma factor switching, it redirects the transcription programs under stress condition. Then you have attenuation and ribose switches that regulate transcription and translation in the bacteria. So this is how the lac operon looks like. You have three different genes being here, Z, Y, A, right? And then when the absence of inducer is there, so repressor will come and bind to the operator, and it will not allow the structural genes to get activated. On the other hand, in the presence of inducer, we have the ZYA getting transcripted and then translated in the form of, like you have the formation of beta galactosidase, permease, and transacetylase, right? Then you have attenuation and ribose switches that regulate the transcription translation. Phage lambda switches between the lytic and lysogenic cycles. Viral gene expression is temporarily regulated. Eukaryotic promoters, they integrate number of different transcription factors. Chromatin state dictates the accessibility and the transcription. Histone acetylation generally activates, and deacetylation represses the transcription. Then you have histone methylation. It has context dependent effects. Chromatin remodelers, it slides or evict the nucleosomes, creating an open or closed chromatin, right? Then you have the DNA methylation at the CGP islands. It will gene silencing. Non-coding RNAs, they modulate the post-transcriptional and transcriptional regulation. Then insulators and boundary elements are also there that partition the chromatin domains and enhances the promoter contacts. Last, we have 3D genome organizations that influence the gene expression regulation. Transcriptional bursting produces different expressions that regulate the tone, burst, frequency, or sizes. Translational control via the 5' UTRs. Stress repressors, they repress the translation globally. Gene expression induces RNAi pathways, X chromosome inactivation, imprinting, and heterochromatin spreading as well, right? Last, the quick mnemonics list are here, where you can quickly like add on or like remember and recall all of these segments. And there are various others also, which I'll be sharing with you all, right? So this was about one short revision. I've tried to add as many pointers in short segments, which will help you in part B and to some extent in the part C questions as well. This like I've tried to add tables, pointed formats, made you explain a number of segments, right? So this was about your entire DNA replication, transcription, translation, and all these things. If you have any doubt, any problem, please ask. Otherwise, we are going to um, target out the next unit as unit number 4, which is cell signaling. Very important unit, right? 2 units are already completed. This is the third segment. Then we have the next target of cell signaling and communication, where again it would be like a one shot revision only, and we are going to revise it in the best manner possible, right? So that's about it.